Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be tier ranking all of the books that we read for my historical romance book club. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back. Today is a really exciting video because we are going to be doing a tier ranking video. I've never done one before. We have had the historical Hellions for 3 years. That's crazy. So if you don't know what the historical Hellions is, it is a historical romance book club that I host with my dear friend Jessica from Peacelovebooksxo. Books. We've been doing it for 3 years, and basically the premise is that we really want to read classic historical romances. We pick a historical romance book every single month that is published before the year 2000. We read it, we talk about it. We've had many live shows, we've had many guest hosts, and so many fun, interesting conversations over all the historicals that we've read. It really has helped me read some classic historical romance authors that were kind of just sitting on my shelves. So I'm so grateful for that book club. I love doing it, and I hope we continue to do it for many years to come. So happy that Jessica does this book club with me. She's also going to be doing a tier ranking video. We have read 36 historical romances together. So we're going to rank them, 36 historical romances together. That is kind of wild and crazy. And if you've read all of them with us, thank you. I did not even pull up these books on Goodreads or like go back to see my rating for them, even though this was like 3 years ago, because we're just gonna go based on vibes. I'm sure Jessica's gonna be much more organized, but we're gonna be based on vibes. Leave Jessica's video down below, but I just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you so much if you've ever supported this book club. Thank you if you've ever read one or maybe even more of our book club picks. Thank you if you have ever, watched our live shows and commented. Thank you if you've helped us pick one of our book club picks, because a lot of times we'll ask you guys for recommendations. Thank you to all of the guest hosts that have joined us for live show discussions. You guys just make the live shows so much more fun, so thank you for that. Thank you to Jessica for doing this book club with me. Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank the Academy. I'd like to thank my mom. Jesus. I'm joking, but I am really thankful for this book club, and it is one of my favorite things to do every single month, and we will be doing it a 4th year. We already have some of our books picked out for next year, so make sure to follow us on Instagram, Historical Hellions. That is where we do all of our announcements. It's where we announce the book club pick, the live show date, whose channel the live show is going to be on. Anyone can join at any time. That's it. There's really no rules to our book club. It's just fun vibes only. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut to that clip real quick, and you guys can see how I ranked all of the books. Hi, oh my gosh, I feel so fancy. I had to ask Lacey how to do this because your girl was struggling. But here we are. We're about to rank all of the books. I have all 36 books right here. Hopefully I didn't forget any. If I did, yell at me in the comments. But I kept my ranking tier pretty simple. We have the S tier, which is like Holy Grail historical, the best of the best, my absolute favorites. We have the A tier, which is just classic historical romances. There are some that maybe just weren't my all-time favorites, but they were still interesting to read for the genre, and they're just classic for historical romance, so I wanted a place to put those. Then we have the B tier. Those are just books that I liked. They weren't bad, but I didn't love them. We have the C tier, that's not the best, but they weren't terrible. And then we have D tier, which is trash fire books, and we all know Judith McNaught is going to go down there. So I needed to go ahead and just start, so let's do it. So first up, we have Night Song by Beverly Jenkins. It's actually the first book pick that we did for Historical Hellions, and I'm so happy we did because it is still my all-time favorite, I think, out of all the ones that we've chosen before. No one is writing historical romances like Beverly Jenkins is. Writing's so beautiful, her books are so romantic, and I love the way she kind of like combines culture. So yeah, I just love her so much. So Night Song is a romance between our heroine, who is a school teacher, and then our hero, who is a soldier. So we're gonna go ahead and put Miss Queen Bev where she belongs. Holy Grail historical, S tier, God tier. Okay, next up we have Julie Garwood, The Bride. I remember giving this one about 3 stars. I know our heroine is British and our hero was Scottish, if I'm not mistaken, and she was like forced to marry him. There was nothing wrong with this book, but it wasn't my favorite, but I am going to put it in the classic section because I feel like Julie Garwood is a classic historical romance. I did read one more Julie Garwood for this book club, which I'll get to in a second, but yeah, I just think she's one of those authors, like if you're new to the genre, she's a good author to recommend. Okay, next up is A Pirate's Pleasure by Heather Graham. I think this is one of the ones that as time passes, my rating has changed. I think I gave it 4 stars when I originally read it, But the more I think about it, it is a holy grail historical. So we're going to move it up here. This one was so bonkers. Our heroine gets kidnapped by a pirate. There's a love triangle. Definitely a bodice ripper. The plot was totally bonkers and fun. And I think of like all of the other pirate romances I've read, and I always compare it to this one. So this one was a really fun time, a really fun discussion. I liked it a lot. I did. And just like the hidden identity, the plot twist, everything was so great. I would recommend as a pirate romance. Next up, we have A Moment in Time by Beatrice Small. And this one was actually one that I did not read. I'm sorry. It's the only one, I promise. So I think I had COVID the month that we read this, and I didn't go back and read it, but I heard it was a bonkers time. And we did read another Beatrice Small, which you'll see later. And I think I'm just going to rate this one for vibes. I'm going to put it in the classic section. She is a classic historical romance author. That cover, gorgeous. I miss covers like that. And next up is another beautiful cover. This is Splendid by Julia Quinn. And I got to meet Julia Quinn in person and have this copy signed. So that was fun. This one wasn't very memorable. I remember our heroine being an American heiress of like a shipping company. Our hero is like a scandalous rake who doesn't want to get married but's intrigued by her. It was cute, but I definitely don't think it was Julia Quinn's best book ever. It was one of her first, so it makes sense that it wasn't the best. But yeah, I'm gonna put that in the liked but didn't love. I think it's a fine historical, honestly, but I completely forgot about it, if I'm being honest. Dogs are barking in the background, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. But next up is Ice and Rapture by Connie Mason. This one was a fun one. I really do think I like Connie Mason's writing, the setting and like the history that she puts into it. This one took place during the gold rush, so it had a lot of interesting tidbits in there. This one was also very bonkers. It had like surprise pregnancy, amnesia, enemies to lovers. Like there was a lot going on in this book. I did like it. I think I'm going to put it in the classic section because the history was interesting. That cover is stunning. Connie Mason is such a classic historical romance author, and I did enjoy it, but it just wasn't quite holy grail historical, you know? Next up is A Knight in Shining Armor by Jude Devereaux. This one was good. It was a time travel romance. I think our heroine has like an awful boyfriend and she's at a grave or something, and she's like wishing for true love, and it brings our hero into the future, essentially. There's another one that's kind of unmemorable. The time travel aspect didn't make that much sense. It was interesting for the first half, kind of boring for the second, but it wasn't bad. So liked but didn't love. Next up is A Gentle Feuding, and this one was a Scottish romance when our hero sees her and it's like love at first sight, but she definitely does not want to get married. I believe she gets kidnapped, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm gonna put this one under not the best. I've read more Johanna Lindsey books, and this is definitely not her strongest one. I feel like if you are new to the historical romance genre, this is not going to be a favorite of yours because there was some problematic scenes. Okay, some scenes that weren't entirely consensual. So although she is a classic historical romance author, I feel like she just has better. So I'm gonna put this one in not the best. Next up. What to say about this one? Annie's Song by Katherine Anderson. I'm gonna put this under trash fire because it was horrendous. So our heroine is sexually assaulted by the heroes, and I use hero very, very lightly because he was not a hero. And she gets assaulted by the hero's brother, gets pregnant. The hero feels responsible for his brother's actions, so marries her out of a sense of responsibility. Huge age gap. Heroine, I believe, is mute in this book, so she doesn't speak, and a lot of people take that for her not being intelligent. It's I don't even know how to explain it. She's literally viewed as a child for the majority of the book, and it's just not romantic. And I hated it. I hated it. We're gonna put it in trash fire. I know it is a classic historical and people do love it, but it has so much problematic elements that just were never addressed, and I think there's better out there. So we're gonna put it in trash fire. Screen a little bit so you can actually see the books down here. Okay, next up, Ransom by Julie Garwood. This was the Julie Garwood that I was a little bit more impressed with. I liked this one a lot better than The Bride. This one is another Scottish romance, and I think it was done very well. I would recommend it. I'm still going to put it in the classic section because I don't know if I would consider it a holy grail, but I did like it a lot. I remember giving it 4 stars, if I'm not mistaken. I'm realizing we read a lot of Scottish romances because next up is another Scottish romance, Whisper of Roses by Teresa Medeiros. This one is an arranged marriage between two rival clans. And I remember us being very, very impressed by this book. We liked it a lot. Again, this one has like rival clans. Our hero is visiting our heroine's clan. There's like an assassination attempt, or maybe his father does die. Something happens to his father and he's attacked, and they blame the heroine's clan. So kind of like to keep the peace, I guess, her father basically offers her into an arranged marriage to, I don't know, keep the peace. But I like this one. The hero was surprisingly sweet. I liked it. I liked it a lot. He was like that perfect blend of alpha hero, but not being a problematic hero. So I'm going to put this one in classic. I gave that one 4 stars. Next up is Love Only Once by Johanna Lindsey. This is the first book in the Mallory Anderson series. Also a surprise pregnancy trope. Our heroine is in a carriage coming home from a party. She borrows her friend's carriage. The carriage that she borrowed was actually the carriage of our hero's mistress. So he mistakes her for his mistress and ends up kidnapping her. When he realizes like who she is, it's too late. Her reputation is ruined. So her uncles basically force him into an arranged marriage for her honor, if you will. I really love this one. This is what I'm talking about Johanna Lindsey being a classic author and having some really strong historicals. I think the Mallory Anderson series as a whole is one of my favorite series that she writes. So I'm gonna put this at Holy Grail Historical. I would highly recommend it. I would recommend the series in general. I think it's stunning. This one actually reminds me of Bridgerton, like The Duke and I. The tropes are very, very similar. I like this one better. So there we go. That's why I'm putting in Holy Grail Historical, because I do like it better than The Duke and I. Next up is Silver Flame by Hannah Howell. I don't remember anything about this book. I couldn't tell you a single thing about this book. So because of that, we're going to put in, I don't even know. I genuinely cannot remember anything about this book. So it was not memorable. Oh, I gave it 2 stars. Yeah, see, I must have not liked this one at all. We're going to put this in not the best because I gave it 2 stars and I don't remember why. Rebellion by Nora Roberts. Oh my God, is this another Scottish romance? Dang, we read a lot of Scottish romances. So I've not read a ton of Nora Roberts books. I've mainly read her other pen name, J.D. Robb, her like romantic suspense series. And I just like that one better. This one wasn't bad, but I was a little bored and I didn't love it. I didn't. I think I'm just going to stick to like her romantic suspense ones. We're going to move it to not the best. I'm so sorry. I do love Nora Roberts though. She's a queen, but I just think that one's not her best. Okay, next up we have Across a Moonlight Sea by Marcia Canham. This was another pirate romance. I'm just going to say right now, I'm going to put it in not the best. Compared to Pirate's Pleasure, the other pirate romance that we read, this one would just, it wasn't giving what it needed to give, but it wasn't awful. But it wasn't good. We're just going to give it C tier. Okay. Next up is Midnight Rider by Kat Martin. This one, I feel like I did not finish this one in time for the live show. I went back and finished it and gave it a 2-star rating. Yeah, this one was a Western historical, and we have not had the best luck when it comes to Western historicals. It was just really, really boring. So we're going to put it in C tier. Not the best. Okay, finally, we have some good ones. Reckless by Amanda Quick. Anything Amanda Quick is going in Holy Grail. I don't make the rules. That's just... I'm getting a phone call. Hold on. Sorry if the screen moves a little bit. I just got a call from my doctor, and it was kind of important. So where were we? Oh, yes. Okay, so Amanda Quick. I don't make the rules. That's what I was saying. I don't make the rules. She is a Holy Grail historical romance author. I love, 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 love her writing. I feel like she writes adventure historical romances with heroines who have so much agency and personality and just adventure. I love them. So, Holy Grail. Another Holy Grail is going to be Beverly Jenkins, obviously. Vivid was so beautiful. I really thoroughly enjoyed this one. In this one, our hero is like in charge of his small town and he hires a doctor and they only correspond through letters. So he only knows them by their last name. He thinks that the doctor is a man. Turns out it's our heroine. So when she shows up, she has to deal with a lot of sexism. The town doesn't think she's qualified to be a doctor, but of course she's gonna show them up. And she does. Beverly Jenkins, like, of course, Holy Grail historic romance author. Next up is Thunder and Roses by Mary Jo Putney. I didn't really care for this one. Our heroine is like a school teacher in the town that she lives at, and they're struggling really badly. Like, the houses are decrepit, they're like falling apart, and she goes to the earl who's in charge of this town, in charge of taking care of it, and like begs him to put in money, to put in work to better the town for the children. And she makes a deal that she's going to like live with him for like 3 months in exchange of him doing that, of him doing literally his job. I don't like this one. I did not like this one at all. Not the best whatsoever. Next one is Virgin Fire by Elizabeth Chadwick. Trash Fire is what that was. Trash Fire. We called this one the bathtub book because I don't know if you can see, but in the cover, she's in a literal bathtub, and the premise is called The Tale of a Tub, that our heroine is supposed to have like one of the only like working tubs in the town, and our hero uses it, and it's like very sexy. Boring. I was bored to tears with this one. The hero was like an oil tycoon, so much of this book was about oil and the history of oil, and I could not care less. Trash Fire, only because I was so disappointed. Look at that cover. Tell me that does not look like a bodice ripper, sweepingly romantic book. And all we learned about was oil. Stop. I'm done. I'm done. Once and Always by Judith McNaught. Trash fucking fire. Judith McNaught is the bane of my existence. No, that's so dramatic. I truly do not understand how anyone likes her books. No. Okay. I'm trying to be nice. Let me think of one nice thing. Can't. Sorry. I've read so much of her backlist, and they're filled with these toxic alpha heroes that are so awful. They lack consent. Pretty sure in this one, they were cousins. Nasty. It was vile. It was awful. It was terrible. Okay, it's become a running joke that on our live shows, all I do is complain about Judith McNaught. So, Trash Fire. This tier was created just for her. Next up, Connie Mason, Wild Land, Wild Love. Oh, I hated the heroine in this one. This one takes place in Australia. Our heroine is like inheriting some type of farm, some type of land, a house, something. And our hero is an ex-convict who works in this island. He was sent there because he's an ex-convict, but he's really created a name for himself, and he is there to like help transition her into taking over this business. And she is the most judgmental heroine I've ever read about. Truly. Could not stand her. She was so, you know what? Trash Fire. I like Connie Mason in the sense that her writing is good, and she writes very unique historicals, but like the heroine in this book was insufferable. Insufferable. Next up is Fires of Winter by Rebecca Gellis. This one was not the best. Oh, okay, this tier is getting a little full. This one was like info dumping from the first chapter. It focused entirely too much on the history of the time period and not the romance. And it was told in two perspectives, the hero and the heroines, but when they were experiencing the same situation. So the same situation was being retold every single chapter. It was redundant. It was exhausting. It was tiring. It was boring. The next one is Sky O'Malley by Beatrice Small. I love this book to pieces. I love this book with my whole heart. I love this book with my entire life. If I were to recommend anything in this entire video, it would be Sky O'Malley. This book is perfect. Okay, this is another one that the longer it goes by, the higher my rating gets, because I keep thinking about it. I've never read a historic romance like that. It was epic. It was sweeping. It was bonkers. So basically it follows our heroine, who is, I'm gonna explain the whole plot. I have a whole video reacting to this, and it was crazy. This one follows our heroine, Sky O'Malley, who is a badass bitch. I love her so freaking much. So she is set up in an arranged marriage to a toxic man that she does not want to marry. He is abusive. He's toxic. When they were children, their families made a pact, like the two clans, to have like a peace treaty, and one of the requirements was this arranged marriage. So her father is not backing down on the deal, and her father is really like forcing her into this marriage. The night before she gets married, she ends up meeting one of our heroes, And they just have like this cosmic connection, love at first sight. They desperately want to be together, but she's engaged to be married. And that's not even half of the plot. It follows her life afterwards. So much stuff happens. There are numerous heroes in this book, numerous love interests, numerous plot twists. There's amnesia. It's a pirate romance. Our heroine is constantly getting in these very precarious situations. There's some political intrigue in here too. So much is going on. You will not be disappointed because it is so fast paced. I had like pages and pages and pages of notes because so much was happening. I loved it. I think this book is perfect. I think there's nothing like it. And after we read this one, everything else was a disappointment because nothing could compare. So Sky O'Malley is a holy grail historical, and I'm very happy that we read it. I'm going to try to be quick after this because, God, this video is going to be long. Phantom of Time was a time travel romance, a Phantom of the Opera retelling. I didn't care for it. Not the best. I'm very picky with Phantom of the Opera retellings, and this one, it didn't hit. The time travel aspect just didn't make sense, so we're going to put it in not the best. Next up is This Other Eden. I'm debating which tier to put it in. I think I'm going to put it in Trash Fire. It is a gothic romance. And it had a lot of consent issues, like a lot of consent issues. Heroine in the beginning of the book is sent to like this dungeon to essentially die. She ends up seeing our hero and his shady business practices. Our hero freaks out, sends her to the dungeon to die. She makes it out of that situation. And all of a sudden the hero becomes obsessed with her, wants to marry her. But he like literally almost killed her. He was such an insecure, toxic man. And the age gap was disgusting, concerning. Trash Fire. Flame in the Flower. This one is a polarizing book. It was considered one of the first historical romances ever to be written. There was a lot of consent issues in here. The heroine didn't have much of a personality. The hero was a jerk. But the storytelling was kind of interesting. And her writing is kind of nice. But it was also problematic. I don't know where to put this. I genuinely don't, because I gave it 1 star, but objectively it felt like a piece of history that I was reading for the genre. I put it in classic because it is a classic historical. It's not the best, but I still think it's an interesting read, and I don't regret reading it. So I'm going to put it in classic just for the history and the respect I have for the author. Okay? Defy the Not the Heart. Oh, I haven't read this one yet. This is our December pick. And it is, the cover's beautiful. Let's go ahead and put it in classic. Johanna Lindsey's a classic author. And we'll read that in December and see how I feel. Shanna by Kathleen E. Woodwis. Shayna, however you pronounce it. Trash fucking fire. I hated this book. I despise this book. Our heroine was insufferable. The worst. And that's all you need to know. Flowers from the Storm by Laura Kinsale. I really liked this one, and a lot of people didn't. A lot of people felt like this read more historical fiction, and although I will agree with that, because the writing gave historical fiction, it was very flowery, very detailed, I still loved the story, and I still thought it was very romantic, and I loved the writing. I'm going to put it in Holy Grail Historical. The more I think about it, the more I love it, and I liked that one. If you like historical fiction and you're trying to get into historical romance, then I would recommend that one. Then Came You by Lisa Kleypas. Holy Grail. That is so easy. Lisa Kleypas. Queen. Gorgeous, beautiful, amazing queen. I love her to pieces. This one, our heroine's sister is supposed to marry our hero, and she thinks he's trash and does not want the marriage to happen. So she like tries to keep them from getting married, and they end up falling for each other. It reminds me of The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. So if you like that book, you'll like this one, but I think this one is better. Ravished by Amanda Quick. Again, Amanda Quick is a Holy Grail author, adventure romances. This one was so interesting the entire time. I could not recommend more. The Pirate and the Pagan. This one was not the best. This was a pirate romance, and all of us struggled to even finish it. Some of us DNF'd it. Didn't even give pirate, you know? I feel like after Pirate's Pleasure, nothing compared. Next up is Texas Destiny by Lauren Heath. This was one of the few historicals we read, and I did like it. I'm going to put it in liked but didn't love. This one is a mail-ordered bride situation. Our heroine is supposed to marry our hero's brother. The man she's supposed to marry is injured and cannot, like, pick her up from the train. So he sends his brother to pick her up, and, like, on the journey, they fall for each other. But it's kind of forbidden because she's supposed to marry his brother. I liked it. I did. Devil's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. I don't remember anything about this one, and I feel like we read it recently too. I gave it 3 stars. Why do I not remember this one? I'm not going to think too much about it. I'm going to put it in the liked but didn't love section. Okay. Next up, or the last one, is Untamed by Elizabeth Lowell. This was a medieval romance, and I'm going to put it under classic because it did feel like just a classic historical romance. The author's writing, I liked the setting, I love the cover. Not this cover, there's another cover that's really gorgeous, so I'm going to put it under classic. All right. 36 books done. I feel like this one was really long because I was describing some of the plots and explaining my reasoning, but this is solid. Holy Grail authors are always going to be Beverly Jenkins, Amanda Quick, Lisa Kleypas. Like, they need to be up there. Some standouts would be Skye O'Malley. Loved that one. Really did love Flowers from the Storm. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. Love Only Once by Johanna Lindsey. I think that's one of her better books. And then all the trash fire ones on the bottom deserve to be there. You Know What You Did, Judith McNutt. You know what you did. Okay, so that's it. Those are all the books that we read for the Historical Hellions. So I'll go ahead and close out this video in a second. That was fun. I'm sure I messed up a little bit because I kept moving the screen to like see all the different books. So sorry if it wasn't the best quality. This is my first tier ranking video. Shout out to Lacey again for helping me. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm really excited to see how Jessica's going to rank all of her books. So thanks for watching this video. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video.